I had my son, and, as new parents do, we're waking up to be responsive to them, supporting their sleep needs. And over time, eventually, as they do, they're sleeping longer stretches. He was sleeping throughout the night, but I just couldn't anymore. And I was just a mess. It was taking me forever to fall asleep. I was up for hours during the night. And it was really impacting my cognitive health, my physical health, my emotional health. I was so anxious and my mood was so dysregulated.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spoil Your Baby podcast. My name is Greer Kirschenbaum, your host, and I am here today with Talia Shapero. Welcome, Talia.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So happy to have you. Let's start with getting to know you a little bit. So you are an adult sleep coach, which...
That is correct.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know that there are adult sleep coaches, and there's not too many of you. So it's great. I mean, our parents are thinking about sleep, worried about sleep, have a million questions about sleep. And so I'm so happy that you're here. Why don't we start with, how did you become an adult sleep coach? How did this happen for you?
Yeah, so I actually got involved in the field of sleep coaching through my own journaling, my own journey of battling insomnia for years and years and years, which really spiraled out of control with the birth of my son. And I see this a lot with parents. And I will disclose, can I disclose to everyone, Greer, that we are old, dear friends?
Yes, absolutely.
And so I'm saying this because I was never a great sleeper, and Greer and I have had many a sleepovers. We've traveled together, and I was always the last person to fall asleep, the first person to wake up and be really grumpy about it, right? You can attest to this.
We traveled many, many, many countries together, and there was not a lot of sleep for Tal.
Yeah, exactly. So that was bubbling in the background, but fast forward, I had my son, and as new parents do, we're waking up to be responsive to them, supporting their sleep needs. And over time, eventually, as they do, they're sleeping longer stretches. He was sleeping throughout the night, but I just couldn't anymore. And I was just a mess. It was taking me forever to fall asleep. I was up for hours during the night. And it was really impacting my cognitive health, my physical health, my emotional health. I was so anxious and my mood was so dysregulated. And I actually went to my doctor and therapist, and I was very lucky to have practitioners who were switched on, because I said, listen, I think I might have a anxiety disorder. And they said, yeah, you know what, maybe, but actually, I'd be curious to know, if we treated your sleep issues, if that would actually clear up some of the anxiety issues. And now that I, know this really important bi-directional relationship between mood and sleep, and this was true for me. And so I was diagnosed, I had, true insomnia. And I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but I had it. And so I did a treatment called cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia. And it was truly so transformational for really every aspect of my life. Like, I was feeling better, I was eating better, I was a way more engaged partner and parent. Like, that was something I just had a lot more resilience, patience, like love to give to my family that I felt like I was missing out on.
Yeah.
And then I was looking to transition from my last career. And I noticed whenever I was telling anyone about sleep, because I was learning so much through my treatment, and I realized that, one, nobody knows anything about sleep. Like, it is such, and people just don't know the facts. They don't know, how it all works. And two, whenever I'm speaking to people, everyone either couldn't sleep themselves or they had an issue sleeping. And so I did the certification in adult sleep coaching. But you're right, there's not a lot of us out there, and a lot of people don't know that this service exists. But here I am today, and it's been really wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. I learned that so long ago in science, that improving sleep is the first step to improving anxiety and depression and so many mental health struggles. And I remember reading those papers, like that was the only intervention for people, was they improve their sleep. And and all of their struggles, subsided or were, treated.
Yeah.
So it's so great that you had that, evidence-based support from your doctors. And we always ask people to just don't leave your doctor's office without information that makes sense to you and that is really addressing the needs that you're expressing. Because if it's not, then go to another doctor. Not everyone knows this either, right?
No, it's true. And it's interesting because doctors, obviously they're wonderful. We need them, but they only get about an hour or two of sleep education in med school. And so they're not well informed. And then on top of that, there's so many other things that they need to look after in a very short period of time. And so I see over and over that doctors, they're just, prescribing medication or diagnosing, something that may not be the root cause. Maybe it is, but we don't know. And so
that's important to know going to your doctor. Like their tools are medicine and surgery. So that's okay. Sometimes you need medicine and surgery. Like I have a lot of medicine and surgery in my life and my family. There's no problem with that. But for a lot of things, especially bodily processes like sleep, where we know there's a holistic approach to it, there's multi-factors. There's no protocol for a doctor to be sitting down with you and going through these things. Like that's just not their job. Like we can't expect them to do everything, right? And it's the same for infant sleep. They don't get any training in infant sleep unless it's extra. And I say don't usually get any sleep advice from your doctor in that realm too. So this is great. Thank you for sharing your story. It's so helpful. Let's start with the places we can help parents sleep. So a lot of parents listening, they have a baby, somewhere in that 0 to 3 range, or maybe they're pregnant, right? Which is that's actually a different category, right? We help people differently when they're pregnant. We help them differently when they have a baby 0 to 3. And we help them differently when their baby and or children are sleeping through the night, right? It's different life circumstances. So we help them differently, right?
Yeah, there's, I would say there's many things we know to be true, but I think in that season of life, having a new baby, the reality is that we're not necessarily going to get on a consistent basis 7 to 9 hours of sleep on a regular basis. Okay. That is, optimal sleep conditions. That's what we're aiming for. However, we know this is not always the case. And so what we really want to be doing though, is working on ways to protect the quality of the sleep. And that's something in general that I always talk to people about. I say, sure, we want to make sure that we're getting enough hours of sleep, but making sure that the quality is good is just as important. And so I think, what we want to be doing is trying to maintain consistent bedtimes and wake times, keeping them within about an hour of each other. And I always tell people, if you want to focus on one, actually focus on anchoring that wake time. And I know it can be, difficult during this time because, okay, you've been up for, hours in the night, you want to sleep in. And for some people, that's fine. And this is where, there's a really nuanced and personalized approach to dealing with sleep issues. But if you're having trouble sleeping at night, if you're having trouble feeling well rested, you may actually want to keep that wake time anchored because consistency and timing is a really important new measure of sleep health. Okay. Our body doesn't benefit from these yo-yo different schedules. Now, that said, I get that people are tired, right? I was tired. I know that. And so I think, building in rest periods during the day. And I'm not talking about napping, okay? And I get so triggered when people used to say to me, oh, just sleep when the baby sleeps. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, I am not a napper. Okay. Some of us are not all nappers.
True.
And I was running a business at the time and there's a million other things you want to do, right? Are we cleaning bottles? Are we tidying, like doing laundry? There's so many different things that we're doing. And so if you can nap, sure, take a nap, maybe keep them 20 to 30 minutes, have them about, before 2 or 3 p.m. so it doesn't interfere with sleep. But just taking, and I call them daily pauses, go and switch off from your devices, all the distractions, go and starfish out on your floor or in your bed, even if it's only for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Because what that is doing, it is helping you to refresh and restore your body and mind. Okay. We're not meant to be go, go, go all the time. And I think that there is an added level of exhaustion, of mental load when we are caring for young babies, right? It's really stressful. And so just, lying down for a minute and giving yourself truly, away from distractions can be restorative. And something else that I would recommend across the board, doesn't matter where you are in your life or, how old you are, manage your light exposure. All right. When we are not getting enough bright light during the day, it can make us feel sluggish and sleepy. And when we're getting too much bright light in the evening hours or in the middle of the night, it can kind of trick our bodies into thinking we're awake. And this can make it difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep. So pie in the sky goal, I say, as soon as you get up or even within a couple hours of waking, go outside, 15 to 30 minutes, take off your sunglasses because sunglasses are actually blocking some of that important light spectrum that we want. It's going to help, calibrate that circadian rhythm that is controlling your sleep-wake cycle. And getting outside another time in the day, like lunchtime, just anytime. None of us get outside as much as we should. And then in the evening hours, trying to limit that bright light. Okay. And so that doesn't mean exist in darkness, but kind of think like when the sun's going down, put on dimmers or candles, but be careful with candles for little ones. Lamps, just, it's going to help signal that transition to night. And it's funny because I know, Greer, you probably talk to parents about supporting infant sleep. That is a key thing, right? When they're awake, bright light, like they don't even have their circadian rhythm developed until like 4 or 5 months, right? Or it's ongoing. And so that's actually supporting their sleep as well and their alertness levels. And the last thing I would say is, try and kind of find ways for your body and mind to relax, especially in those minutes and hours before bed. Okay. So creating a really purposeful wind down routine is going to be so helpful. It separates your busy day-to-day activities and sleep. And so if you're doing something, and I think you want to do a consistent set of activities that are relaxing, not particularly stimulating, but not totally boring either. Otherwise, you are not going to be motivated to do it. And it's something something that you enjoy.
Yeah, like reading, coloring, listening to music, doing some
watching
kind of
an
craft.
Watching a rerun of your favorite show.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to look different for everyone, but that is sending really important signals to your brain and body that you're safe, you can relax, right? And we need to feel safe and relaxed to fall asleep from a physiological sense, right? Your babies need to have that as well. And we're going to anticipate sleep. And it's funny because I always talk to new parents and I say, hey, do you have a wind down routine for your babies? And 100% of them, oh yeah, I do songs, I do stories, I do, right? We are no different. We need the same.
I love it. I want to go back and ask you questions about all of these. They're so great for parents. The consistent wake up. I usually will tell parents, let your baby be the alarm. And so I feel like a default mode, because, right, they don't know, every night's different. They don't know. And I don't like waking babies up at a specific time every morning. I know some
no,
but not for babies.
I don't, not babies.
Yeah, but I do like the nuance there. That's like, if that's working for you, go for it. But if you are having trouble sleeping at night, that's a different story.
Exactly.
Do you agree with that?
Are more, I totally agree with that. And some people are more resilient to shifting their sleep schedules around than others. And I think that's really important to consider and know. And sometimes it's a little bit murky, like we're not sure. It's kind of an odd time, but I think, you're really just, being mindful of, if I am sleeping in more, or if I am taking that long nap in the day, and if I've been doing this on a regular basis, and now I notice that, I'm having trouble falling asleep at night or staying asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then take notice. But
everything's an experiment too, right? So
totally.
try it, right? Like if you are struggling, try it. And if it works, great.
Yeah.
If not, go back to what you're doing and you test yourself what feels better in your body.
Yeah, and it's funny because I do a lot of experimentation with my clients, and I will say my piece of advice in terms of experimentation is whatever you do, try it out for a period of about 10 to 14 days. Okay. And I know that also is like, that can be tricky because your baby may not be on the same schedule that you're trying out. But if we try things for a day or two and we're like, oh, well, I tried doing this, it didn't work. I tried getting light first thing in the morning. I'm like, no. Our body needs time to adjust, and you need time to evaluate what's working and what's not.
Completely. The lighting, I tell everybody of every age is so important.
I remember
Huberman does not let us forget it either. So every time you listen to him,
that is one thing that, yes, Huberman, I support you talking about light. And I remember, Grit, that was something that was really impactful for you when we were chatting about your sleep a few years ago. Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. We'll talk about that. That's great. And then the rest is so important. I've heard that from so many different types of professionals too. If you can't, like, I do like napping for parents. I do say like in the earlier chunk of the day before 2 p.m. if possible. Like a lot of moms will want to nap their baby's first nap because they're recovering from the night. And I love that. But you're absolutely right. I hear from clients all the time, not possible. Like never napped in my life, not on the menu. And I love the idea of just getting horizontal. Just do it. Yeah. Just rest yourself.
Just do it. Like we're not designed to just be on all the time. And on means our brains are on, or we're, going down a rabbit hole of social media or something. We're still connected.
Completely. Yeah. And get off that social media at those times. That's not rest. You can do your social media. I'm not saying don't do it, but don't think it's rest.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the wind down routine, I also love. That was also a challenge for me to do. It still is sometimes because, I guess I have my routine, but it's not what I think what I would ideally want it to look like. I would love it if it was more self-care. And I like suggesting that to people to see if it works for them and if they can make it work, because then you do get maybe another couple minutes of something nice that you're giving yourself some love, right? Like putting on your face cream and doing a nice face massage, whatever it is. Part of your wind down routine can show yourself some care and love too. It's a nice layer, I always like to habit stack, right? Like trying to get as many things done in one task as possible.
And I think you're making a good point about, that it's got to be something that you want to do. I think people are like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to do a wind down routine and I'm going to meditate and then I'm going to, write in my journal and I'm going to do this. And then they're like, oh, but I hate it. It's like such a chore and it's not working. And I'm like, no, as soon as we're applying effort to trying to get to sleep, it's gone. Okay. So it's gotta, whatever you're doing, make it work for you. And if you feel that, this isn't working for me, don't do it. Right. I think again, there's no quick fix or one size fits all in terms
completely.
of
mine is still, totally honest, mine is still watching a show and then going straight to passing out. But that's a routine. I do the same thing every night.
Totally fine. And I know a lot of people will come, they're like, oh, I watch TV before bed. Is that really bad? I shouldn't do that. And again, the answer is yes or no. It depends, right? Yeah. Are you sleeping okay? Right? What's the content of what you're watching? Would I recommend you watching the news right before bed? Maybe not, because there's not a lot of great stuff happening in the world. But if it's a show that you love, it is relaxing you, that's fine. That is totally fine. Enjoy
so many people have those comfort shows, Friends, The Office, all those, Seinfeld.
Oh, I'm a reality TV
before bed. That's a little stimulating.
Actually, no. You're right. I watch it and then I have a timer that goes off at 10. No, you're absolutely right. And then I go up and do my routine and I read.
Yes. That's what I would like to.
But it's part of my extended nighttime routine.
Yes.
not the last
Love that. Yeah. No, I want to add some reading in. get myself upstairs earlier. That's my goal. Amazing. So those are really good tips for parents who are supporting their babies overnight, who still have little ones waking and they can help. So let's give a few tips for the parents. Like you mentioned, you helped me. Once my son was sleeping through the night, I was awake for long periods in the middle of the night. And, I followed a lot of the tips that we've already mentioned. But we uncovered that I was still protecting my sleep. I was still going to bed very early because I needed to go to bed early when he was still waking a lot. And so we changed that. We changed a lot of things, but I feel like that was one of the biggest. Yeah.
So to have you,
sorry, go ahead.
Go to bed later.
Go to bed later. Yeah, I needed to go. I was still, because I also recommend that to parents of babies almost as a necessity. Like, you must be going. Like, it's a prescription from me. I'm like, whatever time you're going to bed, if you're not feeling, I always say this, if you're feeling exhausted and depleted and sleep deprived, you got to make a change. If you're feeling tired, every single parent on the planet is tired. So there's a difference between being tired and being, really at a loss. But I will say, if you're supporting your baby overnight, 8 or 9 p.m. bedtime, 10 p.m. the latest. And it's a sacrifice because you're probably not getting some of that wind down. You're probably not getting that other time. But I try to get everyone to try that at least. So I was still doing that. Which was one of the many changes that we made. But yeah, for those parents who are still, let's say, with a baby or without, their baby and child is sleeping, but they're awake with anxiety. They're awake, maybe experiencing, awake periods. I don't want to necessarily diagnose insomnia, but maybe feeling like they might have insomnia. What are options for them? Like, this goes into how you work with people, right?
Yeah. So first thing I want to say to everyone, don't freak out over a night of poor sleep or a little bit of sleep. Okay. Be kind to yourself. All right. Not sleeping breeds frustration. All right. And the more you try and fight it, the more likely it's going to fall apart. And I said that before. And actually, there's a lot more research coming out now that's focusing on mindfulness-based approaches to dealing with insomnia. And I think, allowing you to okay, I'm awake, but I don't want to be, I don't need to be worried about this. I'm still resting. And I think also trying to tell yourself that this is probably temporary. And for the most part, you can handle these short-term sleep problems. Now, that said, we definitely want to work on avoiding, going down a rabbit hole of insomnia symptoms. Okay. Nobody wants to get stuck in that. And so there's a few different things that you can do. So one is trying to keep the bed reserved for sleep, intimacy, and relaxation. Okay. And so that means that we don't want to worry about sleep or about other things in bed. We don't want to do any activating activities like, work or online shopping or Candy Crush, whatever it is, because what happens is that you start to break down that healthy association of linking our bed with a place of sleep. And then instead of sleeping in our bed, our mind learns, oh, hey, my bed's actually a really good place to be awake and worry about not sleeping. Okay. Yeah. And I think that if you are co-sleeping or you're still feeding your baby at some point at night or you're awake, just be mindful of what activities you're engaged in at that point. And I think, secondly, and this is really, really important, you really want to try and manage stress levels on a day-to-day basis, okay, to help maintain healthy sleep at night. And this is a tall order, all right? There's a lot of stressful things going on in our world. It's important for every single
part of parenting. So again, we're habit stacking. Like, your whole life is better if you can do this.
Totally. And I know having a baby can be totally anxiety inducing at times, right? There's so many unknowns and potential things to worry about, especially if it's your first. But what happens is if we do not take time during the day to maybe process these emotions, what can happen is that they will build up and they will creep into your nights, okay, and keep you awake. And so, there's a lot of different approaches that we can do to manage stress levels during the day. One that I always recommend to clients, and again, not for everybody. Some people respond to it differently, but a couple different journaling activities, like, even if it's a brain dump or to-do list, or there's a more structured approach called constructive worry time.
That's
And
such a
so
good
what
one
you
for
do,
mothers. Please share
oh,
that. It's a good
that is
one.
a good one for mothers. It is, if you are a type A, like, want a solution oriented, this is me, high strung,
Mhm.
like, this is for you.
Yeah.
You can look it up, constructive worry time. But the idea behind, if you make it a practice to kind of dump your thoughts out at a certain time of day, what happens is it's almost like a brain retraining exercise. Your brain comes to learn, oh, you know what, after dinner, this is where I do all my thinking. And now in the middle of the night, my brain is in a more conducive space for sleep. And it kind of has
Mhm.
learned, I don't really need to think about that now. So I think that's really useful. Absolutely, like talking to a friend, talking to a counselor, if that is an option. I know that's not an option for everybody. Don't take that burden of parenthood on yourself. And in terms of kind of calming your body down, from a nervous system perspective, deep diaphragmatic breath work, like belly breathing, can be really,
Mhm.
really helpful. I'm going to give credit to Greer, who taught me how to breathe properly. And it really is a practice. It's not just like, because I went to yoga classes, I did all these things, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know how to deep breathe. No, I didn't know
Mhm.
how to deep breathe. Okay.
Mhm.
And Greer really helped me through this. But what it does, it activates that rest and digest part of your nervous system, and it helps switch off that fight or flight mode, which so many of us are in when we're parents,
It's
right?
amazing
So
that we
that
can
can,
be 20, 30, or 40, or maybe 50 or 60 years old to learn how to breathe for the first time, to, like, learn how to
I
breathe
know,
in that
I know.
way for the first time.
And
And that's
even still,
okay, right? That's okay.
yeah, I
It's just the way
still
it is.
catch myself. Like, if I'm in a stress mode, I'm like, oh wait, I'm taking really shallow breaths. Like, I need to, like,
Yeah.
really increase my oxygen load. So that, and I think, mindfulness, meditation, guided imagery, these are all methods that can help, calm down your nervous system and integrate breath work. But I will say this: if you are not well versed in mindfulness or meditation, do not bring it into the nighttime. All right.
Mhm. Yeah, don't
Practice
wanna
it
worry
during the
about it.
daytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, when stakes are low, and it is a practice. So I think, yeah, maintaining stress during the day is really important. I think so many of us just race through our days and we don't really think about it. And then nighttime is truly the only time that is quiet. We're alone. We are vulnerable, right? A lot of us
Mhm.
feel more vulnerable in the dark. And so we kind of want to, you really want to nip that in the bud and kind of
Yeah.
tackle things during the day if you can.
I love it, and it's just checks
Mm,
off so many boxes. Like,
mm.
it's gonna just
Oh, forever.
help
Yeah,
everything, right? It helps
totally.
everything, which is so great. Okay, so
Yeah.
then amazing, let's say someone's like, "Okay, I tried everything that we talked about. Yeah. Still not sleeping, still having lots of anxiety, still questioning whether I'm having insomnia." Um, Tell us a little bit how you work with people, because I know you're really changing people's sleep and health and really their well-being, overall well-being in just amazing ways. So I want everyone to know about that.
Great. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to give everyone good news. Okay. Your sleep is not fixed. You can change it. All right. Sleep is a modifiable behavior, meaning you can change it for the better.
At
Okay. And
any
so
age too, right? Even
at
older people.
any age, at any age. And I hate the narrative that pregnant women, that new parents get. It's like, oh, enjoy your sleep before because you'll never be able to sleep again. Like, that is not true. It drives me crazy. I mean, I thought that was true for me. It's
Yeah.
not. So if you find that you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting that good quality sleep, or you just feel really fatigued and sleepy during the day, and this is on a more consistent basis, all right, so you can seek help. So I do always say, do go and talk to your doctor, okay? Because you want to rule out anything on the medical side. I think
Yeah.
that is important to um, outline, like whether it is a medical sleep disorder like sleep apnea or restless leg syndrome, or something like maybe you have a nutrient deficiency, like or mineral like iron or B12, or maybe
Or
you are taking
magnesium.
medication, yeah, that is interacting with sleep
Right.
negatively, right? So medications can do that. So do that, but at the same time, because as we know, right, doctors are not experts in sleep. Okay. So you can chat to someone like myself who does further digging and takes more of a holistic approach to what's going on. And so what I do is help my clients understand really how their sleep patterns, behaviors, lifestyle choices, and other conditions may be impacting their sleep. And then I work with them to put together a plan to really get their sleep on track for long-term improvement. And so I do this by conducting a really thorough, holistic investigation into your issues by examining what I refer to as the 5 pillars of healthy sleep. So we're going to be looking at your sleep and wake schedules, examining your sleep environment. Included in that is levels of light exposure that you're getting throughout the day and night. I ask questions about headspace, right? So that is going to encompass any of that anxiety or mood issues that are happening. I examine physical activity levels, and then nutrition and any other substances that you may be having, whether it's caffeine or alcohol or whatever it is. And I'll screen for some medical, like glaring medical issues that I might identify. And then what I do is I'm identifying, imbalances in all those areas. I'm going to shine a light on some of those factors that may be disrupting your sleep. And then I offer evidence-based solutions. And what we do is start setting these really small targets over time that are going to help establish healthy sleep patterns. And essentially what we're doing, a big part of what I'm doing is breaking down any unhelpful sleep habits and building them back up with sleep promoting ones. All right.
Yeah.
And what I want to say to people is, you really want to get down to the root cause of what is going on with your sleep, because that is going to determine how successful and longstanding your solutions are going to be. And it drives me crazy, when I get targeted with like sleepy girl mocktail and here, buy this $10,000 cooling mattress. And I'm like,
all the
that's
other stuff
usually not
still
the
going to be
issue.
going on. Well, that's
Exactly.
You have that
Also,
mattress.
so maybe there's a bit of placebo effect, or maybe it's not working at all and you've wasted money. And I really like to work with our own, I truly believe that our own body's natural rhythms can kind of get in sync if we identify all of these other things and impediments that may be going on with your sleep. So, it can take a little bit of time, but be patient, but your sleep, you can improve it. And I really want to get that message across today.
Yeah, I love it. And I will say we worked together in a coaching relationship for several weeks, and I did stop that nighttime waking, and it's been years. How many years has it been? 3 years since then? 4 years since then?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Probably. Yeah.
My sleep's fine. I know when I don't get enough physical activity, though. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, you didn't walk today. You didn't do your thing.
What?
But that's
that's wonderful, because that is, and I'm really glad that you brought that up, because part of my job is also to educate my clients on how to be more mindful of those nuances that may be keeping them up at night. And so when we go over everything, then they're aware and they're like, oh yeah, you know what, maybe it was this and maybe it was that. And I actually think that knowledge, even if you had a poor night's sleep, you're like, oh, that's okay. I know how to, I fell off the wagon. I know how to get back on. No problem. Right.
100%.
And so that is, part of my job is really to give people the tools and the knowledge so that they're never going back to that dark place.
Yeah.
And even for me,
even what you said today, which was like, don't lose it over like one rough night. Cause I feel like I was beating those nights. I'm like, oh, I'm awake. This sucks. I don't want to be awake. I have to work with Talia again. Tomorrow. What's happening? But I did know it was the exercise, and I have been able to bring myself back. So
yeah. And I think, a last point that I want to make, that sleep is not completely static. Okay. We go through periods in our lives where sleep may be disrupted, right? Maybe there's a stressor going on, or whatever it is, like a work-related deadline. I do this for a living, and I do not sleep perfectly every single night, but I do sleep good enough. And I think that is the measure that you're going to be looking for. Like, do I generally feel, am I getting enough sleep? Do I feel like I can get through my day and I have enough energy to do what I need to do? And I think that's, we don't want to be aiming for perfection every night, because perfectionism breeds issues as well.
Yeah.
And that
Oh my
breeds
God. What an
anxiety,
important
which can make,
expectation, right? Maybe maybe I
yeah.
was living under that expectation. I was like, well, because I've been an amazing sleeper
Well,
my
you
whole
were
life.
always,
I
exactly.
just
You were always an amazing
go
sleeper. Yeah.
unconscious for the whole night. Like that is what I'm
Yeah.
used to. So that is kind of my
Yeah.
expectation. But I feel
Hmm.
like that's definitely not true for everybody. And that really releases us, right? Not having that
Yeah.
expectation. It's like that maybe that's not necessarily what is the
Yeah.
gold standard. Maybe this good enough, like
Yeah.
you're getting enough, right? And like averaged
Yeah.
over the week. Like maybe you'll have a couple rougher nights, but
Yeah.
you're maybe you're doing okay if that's the
Yeah,
case.
definitely. The subjective nature is important. I think that sleep trackers, while they definitely have their purpose, I think that they
Mhm.
can actually induce further anxiety in people and end up making sleep worse. So just be careful with those sometimes.
Yeah. And just like we have the expectations that babies are going to sleep through the night and our children are going to sleep through the night forever and
Yeah,
never bug us and never, have anything
I
like
know.
I mean, I've been saying this to everyone in this space, like humans don't always sleep through the night
Yeah.
without any disturbances, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and we're not. We're actually we're not meant like that's a real big myth out there that like a quote unquote a good sleeper falls asleep immediately and never wakes up until their alarm go off. Again,
right.
some people sleep more deeply than others, but actually we have these nighttime wakenings, these brief arousals, because as we're going through the different sleep cycles, we are always, we do this about 4 or 5 times a night. We're entering a REM sleep stage, and this is a lighter stage of sleep. And so it's natural we have these arousals. And again, some people are aware, some people are not. Like you're like, no, I'm dead to the world when I sleep in.
Mhm.
I wake up I know I'm up every single night, but I'm not up for hours,
Right.
right? I'm just kind of tossing and turning, maybe a few minutes. But yeah,
And you're still
it's we don't
getting
need
good
to aim for
enough.
that. Getting good enough sleep. Yeah.
I love it. Amazing, Talia. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful knowledge with us today. For people who want to know more about you, we'll put your links in, but want to mention where people can find you?
Yeah, yeah. So you can check out my website, taliashapero.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook at Talia Shapero Sleep, and I'm always posting, little tips and info. And I've got a newsletter on my website if you want to scroll down and sign up. And if you are having issues with your sleep, okay, don't let it fester. You are welcome to book a call with me. I always offer 20-minute free, no obligation call, and I can chat to you more about how I can help.
I love that you offer that. Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Tal. And I'm guessing we will have you back. So stay
I
tuned,
hope so.
everyone. It was so
Thanks for
great to be
having
here.
me.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me. Bye.